million a year, which will be paid supposedly with Section 8 funds, which is a waste of taxpayers' money. The present debt service on the project is $40,000 a month, or roughly $500,000 a year. The shareholders cannot service this mortgage. The project will be in default. The only thing that may keep it alive so they can retain their ownership is if HUD continues subsidizing the project at a rate of $5 million a year. Under the present contract, the project is capable of making its debt service, completing the necessary repairs from its surplus operating income, and being free and clear within 10 years. Under this rehab program, it will never be free and clear. Let's look at the value of the project. The project on a low estimate.
I'm gonna have to ask you to wrap up pretty quickly.
I'll wrap up, sir. It's valued at $50 million. It's had debts outstanding of $7 million. The present resident can contribute $250 a month to meet all of their debt service. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other cards?
Next speaker is Carlos Levexier, and then last card is Daniel Landry.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Carlos Levexier. And the first thing I want to do is call your attention to a similar case in Oakland with the California Hotel, where the tenants filed a $53 million claim against Oakland for the same sort of procedure where they, evicted people, left the housing vacant, and it happened to actually be the same management agent as John Stewart that was named in this, and that's been going on. Basically, the redevelopment commissioner should delay passing this measure and obtain information on the inappropriate actions that have been blatantly performed in pursuit of this attempt to strong-arm King Garvey Co-op families and force them out of their original agreement. Elections have been manipulated, and an attorney has been installed to represent a board minority. As a board president, one day they just changed the locks and I couldn't get into the building as the standing board president. Another one of my board members at the time was removed from the board through this installed attorney, and had to go to court to say that he was wrongly removed. So in the past era of unchecked corporate greed, this behavior was approvable, but in the emerging era of transparency and accountability, these actions are going to be broadcast from here to Washington, D.C. It will be an embarrassment at least to each and every person who supports this, and at best a full-blown scandal resulting in criminal indictments. We have sent legal notices which names each of the commissioners to ensure that each of you personally are noticed with regard to the alleged fraud contained in this endeavor. In the presentation, what we did mention was that the current contract. We said, okay, we're going to enhance quality of life, but that's ridiculous. Basically, the current contract is for the people to achieve self-sufficiency through 40 years. This long-term investment, and now 30 years into it, people are trying to change the original agreement and and kill the original contract. So that's not quality of life. We should be going into green building and employing the families, the youth, and putting them on track to become winners as their families invested, as the bylaw. I haven't received a notice of meetings in 2 years. So I don't even, the meeting that set up this hearing, I didn't receive a notice in violation of the bylaws. So I just think it's a risky prospect to move on such shaky ground. And I urge you to, take a look closely at these issues, because tenants have been lied to, and it's a problem. Okay.
Thank you.
Daniel Landry, followed by Margaret Brooks, and then Abe Landry.
Good evening, Commissioners. Daniel Landry for the record, shareholder and resident of King Garvey since 1977. I have some documents here, a letter that I forwarded over, I'll hand to your secretary. The word that come to mind is dysfunctional. The board has been dysfunctional for many years now, maybe even decades. And the problem that we have now is transparency. We know that Barack Obama administration is calling for transparency throughout America. Whatever department, whatever committee, boards that we deal with, it must be transparency that's at the top of the order. Now think about this. I'm a shareholder. I haven't seen no agreements. I haven't seen an agreement between our co-op and Related. I haven't seen a assent vote that they speak about when it comes to the shareholders in support of the rehab plan. I haven't seen the rehab plan itself that Related is talking about when it comes to the cooperative. I haven't seen a relocation plan that speaks about, of course, in the agenda package says that this relocation plan is finished. Haven't seen an agreement between the co-op and Overland Pacific. We haven't seen an agreement between the co-op and the attorney that we said we hired, Mr. Williams. We even haven't seen the agreement in 3 years between us and John Stewart Company. We haven't seen the higher security company that we have on the co-op agreement, which expired in 2008. Then to make things worse, we haven't, no shareholder can tell you the equity amount. So, what am I saying? We need a public hearing. We need a public hearing. We need, whether it's the land use, whether we need to urge our supervisor, whether we need to have a joint hearing between this body and another body, we need a public hearing. Because right now the distrust and the infighting is true between shareholders, between those who represent our co-ops, and unfortunately is not getting any better. The division have led us to a point now where we're saying, some saying, well, y'all against rehabilitation. No, we're not against rehabilitating our property. What we're saying is it doesn't take $40 million to do it. That's what we're saying. So we need a hearing, and we need a hearing where we can bring all the stakeholders, all the parties into a room and discuss this intelligently, not out of emotions, not out of people trying to backstab and pay each other back, not some backdoor deal. We need to get to the bottom of this. Because meanwhile, and it is true, this is one of the original projects, and it is sad that under the watch of all the administrations in our department, this project can go the way and be the first one to fall, which then, you know, comes Prince Hall, Friendship, and all the other projects that we're dealing with. And in the environment of this economic crisis, we should not rush anything. So I urge this body, be very cautious. Thank you.
Margaret Brooks, followed by Abe Landry, and then David Cooper.
Good evening, all of Mr. Blackwell, Ms. Morales, Ms. Covington, Mr. Swig, Romero, Ms. Chu, Singh, Mr. King. I'm the secretary to the president of the board. My name is Margaret Brooks. I've been living in King Garvey for 33 years. I've seen King Garvey start at the very beginning to where they are now. I would not sit here and insult redevelopment for failing any complex or any development that they have done. I will not insult you in that way. It probably should take $60 million to renovate King Garvey to get it where it really needs to be. But there's some avenues that we're going to take that's going to eliminate maybe some of the $40 million. Also, if you would come to meetings, you would get all the information that you spoke about here. Also, if you would read your email, maybe answer your phones, you would get to know when the board meetings are. People are notified. We put flyers out. We put them all over. We blanket the woodwork with it and they tear them down. We notify everyone. I just want to tell you, yes, there's some infighting, but the infighting is really the ones, we're doing it for the right reasons, to try to save 211 units. That's all I care about. 211 people, 211 families. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to preserve these homes for these families. I don't care where you go. If you're a homeowner standing right over there, it's gonna cost you an arm and leg to renovate your house. I don't have to come to you or anybody else to get the okay to do it. But in our case, we have to come to you, and we are complying with what you're asking, what the city is asking, and what HUD is asking. You cannot tell the people that's giving you the money, I'm not gonna do this. And what, they're paying a large amount of your bill? I don't think so. I think you need to do and comply with what the orders say. You signed an agreement, you need to agree to it. And if you wanna know what's going on in your complex where you live at, you shouldn't go to the outside. You need to come to the meetings that we've held on every incident, every situation, hiring, firing, new security, gone security, lawyers, agents, everything. We have had meetings on it, talks about it, and try to get the input of the shareholders, because guess what? They are the ones that's keeping King Garvey together. The shareholders own it. I keep telling shareholders, you have more power than this 7-member board, but you don't take the initiative and make it work. And that's why I'm on the board, because I'm trying to make it work. And I'm gonna save these 211 units, and I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Abe Landry, and then David Cooper.
It's sad us could come here squabble about nothing. And the gentlemen who've been up here lying, I've been here since 1940. I'm 80 years old almost. I was on the board with Jim Montgomery. You had 14 sites from the redevelopment. He don't tell you the whole story because you got blackballed. If you want to stop lying, please. I'm not coming to fight you, but you're not telling the truth. Y'all came for a reason. Y'all wanted to fair.
You need to speak in the microphone, we can't hear you.
I come to help the people. See, I was with Jim Montgomery. He was the first one that had the project before we came to be a co-op. The reason he left because they got rid of him. I'm the one put this project together with HUD, $5 million to buy the project. And HUD asked, can we survive? I said, yes, give us a chance. They're not telling the truth here. Why are they coming today and they didn't come the last time when y'all gave $1 million? Think about that. They're scared because the truth hurt. I'm not gonna be here long because I've been sick. HUD called me to come back to the board to be elected because they had a lot of problems. I'm the one put this together with my knowledge and experience and well-liked by the community. Nancy Pelosi, Feinstein, I elect all of them. I helped them. Martin Luther King, I'm a fighter, freedom fighter. I wouldn't come in to make up this. I don't want to fight them. I ain't got time for them. I want y'all to think, why they come now? This young man said, we never sent him to the meeting. We did. He wanted to blackball. The way he said it sounds silly. Why send the other 6 board members about the meeting? He don't know nothing about it. Do that make sense? Why they glad? He don't want to come. He came for one thing, to brainwash y'all, but y'all too shy for him. And I'm gonna close out saying, take this in consideration. I ain't come to fight them, I come to save the project. Because I ain't gonna be around. But I do be around to see my kids and my grandkids and all of them have an opportunity to live in the Western District, because I've been here since 1940, 9 years and 9 years old. Please take this in consideration. Why? Why now? Look at all of them. Why now? We have meetings all the time, and I thank y'all, and I want to say one thing before I leave. I ain't coming back no more because of time. That's the way they want us to fight each other. But the days is gone. The day is gone. The young people ain't gone for this. these old people here going too far with this. And I'm gonna close out and say thank you and think about it. Why did it come now? Why HUD didn't refuse them and Nancy Pelosi? I got all their cards. If we was not a real board, do you think we could come and get this kind of money? They sent a letter, the lady here. She sent a letter to Washington, D.C. They refused to accept her. Goodbye and think about it.
Thank you very much.
Last speaker is David Cooper.
Put it closer to your mouth, and it'll help. There you go, right there, you got it.
Thanks for hearing me. I have lived in King Garvey before it was a co-op. 1972, I moved in here, and I've regretted it ever since, because I could have bought a home for $12,000. I just finished Stanford City College and going to San Francisco State, planning on going to Marion, and I've gotten my master's and all that stuff. One of the other, my classmates told me, why do I stay there, that I take care of myself and let God worry about people. We were taught at the time that we should give back to the community, try to help rather than move to the suburbs. I could have done that. I had many offers working for the city and elsewhere. They always called me to come and help, because I was willing to help everybody, all of it. I worked at the VA and trying to take care of veterans, because I was a Vietnam veteran myself. As a nurse in Vietnam, taking care of dying patients. Anyway, so when I went to work at the VA, I tried to take care of them, but they said when enrolled with the Roman students and the like, and I subsequently quit because they said if you don't like it, leave. Anyway, I moved into King Garvey before it became a co-op. I've been there since 1972. And it became a co-op in around about 80, I think. And I had questions then about, because I wanted a two-bedroom apartment to bring my grandmother here to live with me. That she was all alone. It took 7 years to get a one-bedroom studio. And I've been in a one-bedroom now, which they transferred me to because of all the problems with mold, mildew, all kinds of stuff. They would not maintain the apartment, although the government gave money like about every 5 years to upgrade and keep apartments in decent repair. They would not fix mine. They said if you didn't like it, move. I was told by board members, some of us ignorant, that if you don't like it, move. Even when I wanted to pay extra to upgrade, they would not do this. I had a car at the time. Someone shot the windows out, pushed it out of the parking lot, and I haven't had a parking space since, although I'm disabled and I have to go out to the VA frequently for care. I cannot get a parking lot, parking car, space rather. Although you see all kinds of wrecks sitting out there that haven't been moved for years, but people may take these spaces for themselves. Basically, what I want to say is, I am a tenant who's lived, I try to go along and not create problems, thinking that you get something. But keeping quiet gets you nothing. I don't know if I'll be alive the rest of this year. I don't know, they're going to move us out now to rehab the places supposedly. I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't have anybody to help me move. I can't go up and down stairs without. Anyway, I'm not here to knock anybody here, any of the board, anything. But I just wanted the tenants here and others who are afraid to go over there at the meetings because if you don't go along with these members on the board, you are virtually kicked out. I've seen a lot of old people leave, and I've had all kinds of problems, still living with problems.
Thank you very much. We need to wrap up. Thank you.
I have no other cards, Mr. President.
Anybody else? Okay, I see no one coming forward. I'm going to close public comment. And I'm going to recognize Commissioner King.
Well, this is a tough problem. Very tough. Very much thank God. I was originally involved in this when it first, they tried to relate to St. Francis Square. I was there, met with Montgomery, met with them trying to have that thing. The only thing, they have Section 8, St. Francis Square, we don't have Section 8. But meeting and telling the truth, I think we gotta get somebody from the agency to go out and meet with these people and try to get them together. Because we got 211 families there, and something has to be done. I don't know how to correct it. But I wanna tell you, about Ulysses Montgomery, he had to leave the country because he'd taken all the funds. They ran him out of town. They ran him out of town. And that was when it was first built. He had to leave. He had to leave. He went back, and then he came back and tried it with his lawyer and tried to recoup the place and met with me and Reginald Jones a couple of times trying to get the place back in, and I wouldn't go along with them. But I think that Olson, somebody has to get out there and try to, how we pull this thing together, because it's important to save that families out there. Because you've got a lot of elderly people that's been there for 40 years or so, and that they need a place to live. We're building houses, all of these new houses. These houses, we gotta find somewhere to save it. What the answer is, I don't know. I really don't know. But it's really, but I wouldn't believe what Montgomery and his lawyers said, because that is not true. Not true. They wanted to make some money and take over and make some profit off it and sell it off. That's no joke. They tried to get me to go along with them some time ago. But Carl Williams, and where are you, Carl? You're the attorney for this. Don't you have anything to say on this thing or try to speak out? You and Woody sitting there, who's supposed to be the people to move this thing. What do you guys say? Have you have any
They represent the board, they don't represent us.
They so debate without even one of you guys who was supposed to be the one that rebuild this place. I mean, we're gonna take this thing and maybe you the lawyer and Bill's supposed to be the related. Aren't you guys saying anything on where this thing's going? That's what I'd like to.
I think the only way, well, I see him sitting down, apparently he doesn't wish to speak, but the only way I think that you can ask him to comment on this is if our staff would like to include him as part of the answers to questions to staff.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, but anyway, it looks to me like he doesn't want to comment, so. If you'd like to come up and make an answer Mr. Kane's question, you're welcome to do so. You don't have to. Yeah, come.
John Stewart becomes a part of it. They're not saying anything. I don't understand.
We're changing the process.
He has to be the one to take it. Yeah.
Can you please identify yourself and your relationship to the project?
Mr. President, members of the commission, Mr. Blackwell. My name is Carl Williams, and since September of 2007, I have been retained by the board of directors of Martin Luther King Marcus Garvey Square Court to represent them. I have been carrying out that responsibility to assist the board in getting to the point where they could come up with a development plan to meet the demands from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, that if they don't do certain things, the HUD is going to cut off the Section 8 assistance to that development. I am not responsible for developing the financing plan and so forth like that. I have worked with the related companies who are under contract with the board to come up with that plan. They have done a marvelous job. They have done an excellent job. And I may say that we took the proposed development agreement between the board and related to the shareholders in 2007. And over a 2-day period of time, the shareholders went to the polls and they voted in a majority vote to go along with the development plan from Related and Company. Everything that has been done by this board with respect to this development plan has been done in a properly and duly noticed board meeting and where appropriate shareholders meeting. Every meeting has been open to the public. Every meeting has been open to shareholders, and I know of no shareholder or other member of the COA who have not been fully informed and apprised of every aspect of this development. We are not finished. There's work left to be done. The relocation plan and those other things are still in the works. The relocation plan will have to be approved by the board of directors. And when that is ready for the board of directors to act on, we will do it through the normal process of noticing a meeting, having it on the agenda, and allowing shareholders and others to come and comment on that. This has been a completely open and above board process.
Thank you very much, very, very much for clarifying your position. It's not necessary. What we need here is somebody who can make a motion to move this thing, or if there is no motion, it's gonna die.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to move it, or
Okay, you move for approval.
yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And Commissioner Swig, I recognize you now.
I'd like to move this, I'd like to second this, but I'd like to get myself clarified a little bit. What I see here is a building that is in deep disrepair, that's in deep disrepair for a long, long time. And the impact has been felt by all residents in this building, correct? I'm looking at Executive Director Blackwell. I understand that if there's not compliance to improve this building, then HUD will no longer recognize the validity of this building and suspend funding to this building that will give it any chance of sustaining itself for the future. Therefore, if this action is not taken, this building is almost guaranteed to fall into further disrepair, further blight, and be a micro redevelopment
That's
area.
alternative plan.
You have your opportunity to speak.
And so, and what I hear is that there is a board which has been legally formed. I hear that this board has met on a regular basis, and has made every attempt to proceed in a legitimate and legal fashion, and move this project forward to prevent it from falling into further disrepair and blight, which would lead me to, after reading all the information, want to second the motion and move forward on this activity. Can you provide some commentary on that, however?
Board, as well as with the developer, to come up with a series of steps that show HUD that they're moving in the direction of rehabilitating the property. If HUD were to abate the Section 8, and they will do so if momentum is not shown and that they documented, what will happen is that the units that currently hold project-based Section 8s will no longer hold those project-based Section 8s. That means that the people who currently live in those units will probably be given Section 8 vouchers, which means that the large majority of those folks will have homes, but not likely in San Francisco. And so that's your worst case scenario. That's just from the perspective of the folks living in the building. From the building perspective itself, you will no longer have the revenue stream associated to pay back the loan. And you, like you said, will have a situation where somebody will have to acquire that site and do the rehabilitation.
Thank you. Commissioner Cavalier, you have the floor.
Thank you. I'd like
just ask by a show of hands, how many people are here for this item particularly?
For or against?
No, just for the item. No, it doesn't matter for or against. Okay, thank you. I see that there are substantially more people who are here for the item than spoke on the item, including people who are drafted to speak. This has been going on for quite some time. And I think that perhaps one of the reasons people don't show up for meetings is because they're tired, they're weary. It has been going on and on and on. I am glad to see that there is a motion on the floor in a second so that this can move forward. I agree with the speaker who said that if this was not a legally constituted board, HUD would not be negotiating with them. HUD would not be communicating with their executive director about the dire straits that the
Sure. I will provide a little bit. There are a few things that are very, very clear from the HUD perspective, and there's not a lot of confusion around that all. I've been in several meetings with the representatives at HUD as well as with Supervisor Bergarini, Office of the Mayor's staff, as well as Speaker Pelosi's staff. HUD's point over and over again is that they will abate the project-based Section 8 for this building for health and safety reasons. They have been poised to do this for some time now. They have held off on doing so because there has been progress being made, progress that hasn't been made in the past